So today I want to do one of those more brief workflow tutorial, and I'm just going to try to construct a modern techno track from start to end. So it won't be like complete track, of course, but we will try to at least build a loop that is sounding quite like a modern techno track. And there's of course an discussion that what is actually a modern techno or what's not, so it's hard to distinguish, but I will try to create this kind of more modern sounding techno loop, and I will talk about a little bit what is the difference between, like, for example, a melodic techno track or like a main room techno track or more modern driving techno track and so on. I'll try to show the difference on the application itself, and hopefully it will be a bit more clear for you. But before we start with the video, don't forget to join to the remix contest. We have a lot of goodies for the winner, and the winner will also get a release together with me on Merciltons. And before we start with the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell button so that you get notifications when we make a new video like this. Other than that, let's sit down and make some modern techno. So as you can see, it's a completely empty track. The only thing that I added is actually kick, so that I avoid going through all my different kicks. The idea basically of picking this kick is this kick is kind of a modern kick as well. No, I'm kidding. It's kind of like a beefy kick basically, and sounds like this. There's a slight fade out. At the moment it's a bit too long. I'm gonna decrease it, and actually I'm going to increase also the kind of a BPM. I feel like this type of techno tracks like has a variation between 124 to 127, somewhere around there. So we will start with 124. We can definitely increase it later on depending on how we feel, but I think this is good enough. I'm going to slightly decrease the I will say the length of the kick so that we have enough space. The first thing that you will see for this kind of track is actually kind of a driving bass sound, and that's what we are going to start with. So what I'm going to do, put a diva, right, and then we are going to make a simple driving bass sound. So you would like to have this kind of low layer of bass, and then you will kind of have this another additional upper layer which is kind of in between a lead sound and the bass sound, and it helps to create this kind of darker vibe in the track, because if you use like a really open lead, and it will definitely create this kind of very wide, very open, very airy sound, but in this type of track you wouldn't like that. So we will start with simple bass. What I'm going to do, of course, to create the driving bass by using, of course, everybody's favorite scale, A minor, simply because then you can just use the white buttons and it will be always in tune. Hence we are utilizing that as well. This is kind of a signature sound of modern techno, the lazy asses of people who doesn't want to learn any other scale. Kidding, of course. But anyway, let's try to make something. What I'm going to do, go to the presets and pick a template. You can pick anything, it's really up to your taste, but I'm gonna pick something like a Moog sound, so I get these filters right over here. I'm gonna change this to analog so that I can have a bit less aggressive filter, because it's kind of a sub area. At least this will be kind of a sub bass. So what I'm going to do, play this, cut this, play that, and then we are gonna push this down like this. Until that you really feel the bass. Let's put in the multi-core. It depends at this point how aggressive you would like to have your low end, but just keep in mind that we will have another layer on top of this, so you don't want to open this up too much, otherwise you will be interfering with your high end, and you don't want to make it too low, then it won't be feeling like a driving bass. So you would like to hear this each envelope, each note, so that you can feel this driving feeling like this, right? You can put a little bit emphasis, like this is too much, for example. And then you can also pick waveform depending on your taste. I like to go a little bit for the square wave because square wave this kind of has a little bit different timbre. The reason being, if you use the square wave on your low end, then you are free to use sawtooth on your high end, which is richer, which you would like to use on your high end. So you also create this kind of separation between low end and high end in that sense. I really don't want to overcomplicate things here. What I'm going to do basically probably use a rotary really fast, really not stereo. And really slide. Let's try a little bit. Again, it is dependent on your taste and how you would like to use. It's not that big of a difference, but it's slight. Of course, the next thing that I would like to do for my bass, adding a sidechain compressor. Here I have it, kick from already. You can actually kind of also pick this movement here over here, like giving this movement like here, like that, from with your velocity, right? It's like going up and down, kind of like this. Help up with your sidechain. It feels a bit groovier. What I'm going to do, put an EQ8, cut super lows. Now it's even more like a bass here. Drop this down a little bit. Let's drop this down a little bit as well. Like that. And then of course you may use a bit compressor if you want to, especially with the slow attack, if you want to make the hit a bit different. It depends, like I always try and see if I like it or not, so we will do it the same way. Kind of like it. So again, we will come back depending on what you have come up with the lead sound. So what you can do, you can take a look at your kick one more time, and we see that we are hitting there. I'm feeling like it's slight boxy, so what I'm going to do, I feel like this is a bit too much there. Can you hear that weird rup sound? I'm going to push a bit on the high end. Not that important. And then I'm going to go here and try to utilize a bit drum bass or a glue compressor depending on what I want. I already have a drum bass here, so let me turn that on. Put this down. Put this here first to start with. So I like to start like the same volume so that I can hear what I'm doing. This will get it a bit darker. Slight dry maybe. And then you should always A/B to see if you are really adding up something to the sound. Slight difference, but I think it's nice. And what you can do, also glue them together slightly. Put it down. I don't want to play too much with the attack because I don't want to play with the transient of the kick too much. I just want to grab the tail. It just takes away this boom because we are grabbing that tail and pushing it slightly down, so it's the more natural movement with the kick and the bass. Again, you can utilize this to cut these super lows. Kind of. Yeah, I think we are good to go with the low end. Again, we can come back and play around a little bit later on. But what I'm going to do now, give this kind of more driving main lead, if you want to call it. We are going to utilize a similar idea. What I'm going to do is basically put a mini Moog multi-core and go back here. I'll probably keep utilizing, or let's start with the ADS, like a Moog filters and a Moog envelope, and then we can play around later on. Again, the main theme for this type of modern techno tracks, they have kind of similar or simple arpeggio sound, and it's kind of quite easy to get, but they still have kind of a bit different play or different tricks in it, so it doesn't feel like super boring sound. So what we are going to do, we will start here. We will start with creating this envelope. We can start with simple oscillator, but we are going to add a bit different things and make it a bit more complicated. But to start with, put all the way down. Now we want to have it a bit more aggressive envelopes and a bit richer sound on the high end. Let's go back here. I feel like this is still better. Simply because I have more control on the release. So this part is the tricky part. I'm going to utilize a FM on top of this to make the sound a bit like a darker, a bit more modern. But if you use the sync button here for the FM, then it will be just synced too hard. And I would like to have still this kind of a more natural feeling. So to get that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this on, volume up. Now you can hear the second one. But I'm going to put FM all the way up. And all the way up here. And you will start that it's going out of tune. There are a couple of ways to deal with it. So if you have a good ears, you can actually hear the note and then you can fix it yourself in the tune. The tune here. So this is the original note. Take a close listen what happens when I play with the D-tune. So it feels like at some point they really match and the sound is less dissonant, and when you cross that point it gets more and more dissonant. So take a look again, take a close look. Let me turn the volume down a little bit here. Can you hear it? If you can, it's not a big problem. You can always use the tuner. So it's easiest way to understand what we are doing. Put the volume down, take a look at the first oscillator. You will see that we are hitting around A, simply because the way is hitting like slightly different each note. You see the slight movement. It's kind of an analog synthesizer behavior in that sense, and the way is modulating that or simulating that. But what you can do is turn this down, turn this up, and move this up all the way. So you can pull it down and see if you can grab that A. Look at the tuner now. Once you get closer, it starts to show A as well. It is really not important that you get exactly the same match and synchronize it 100%. Then it will start like a digital. So I like this kind of a movement on the sound, a little bit up and down, a bit like the synchronization, and a little bit like a detune effect. It could be complicated in the beginning, it could be hard to hear, but again, if you don't hear, you can use the tuner, but after a while, you will really start hearing it straight ahead. So, like that. And then I'm going to put another layer, something like this. Or let's make it a bit more simpler, let's not make it too complicated for the people. So let's keep it this. Maybe we can give a little bit of feedback. And it's always nice to have a little bit noise. You You see what happens when I start opening them. And you can always play with the release and delay decay. You'll probably definitely hear the sound already, like you just used a lot. And depending on how aggressive you want to get, you can use the 12 dB filter. This will give a bit brighter sound. Let's start with the 12 dB, get the sound a bit brighter, and then we can go from there. We can still use like EQ to cut super highs from there. And I'm going to utilize a bit chorus, make it slightly wider, really slight. And then from here you can definitely utilize delay and the reverb. If you use a delay, you can hear on the background, or if you use the, for example, plate reverb, gain more ambience. A bit brighter. Now, this part is fine and good, but we have to come up with kind of a melody. And I want to use something simple. And I want to discuss here why some arpeggio sounds more like a melodic techno, some arpeggio sounds like more ethereal techno, some sounds more like a regular techno, and some sounds like a modern techno. So it comes with the idea of the stable and unstable notes. For example, if you follow my channel for a while, you'll see that if I do this, it will immediately start sounding like a melodic techno, even though you don't know why, if you don't know much about the melodic techno. So what I'm going to do, so let's delete this and put this into the quantize, and we can maybe move from the back and forward. Immediately we are doing melodic techno, simply because we go this to 5th 6th arrangement, and the 6th is the stable note, and 5th is stable mode, and the stable unstable combination makes always good. And if you want to go for example, more techno stuff, let me do it this way instead. We can even make it like this. It will make it even more crazy. Oops, sorry that. Let's put this more like that. It sounds immediately like dark and like an almost main room techno, simply because we are utilizing this like a scale where you just putting each note, half note away from each other, and it sounds like kind of a dissonant, kind of a dark. It's like kind of angry. Modern techno though, they kind of utilize a similar idea of melodic techno, or again, I want to really make it clear that there is not really clear definition of modern techno, but what I mean by modern techno is more like a driving style techno. You will see that they utilize more like a 4th and a 5th, and if you don't know what that is, if you start counting the white notes here, 1, 2, 3, 4, so let's grab a 4 and 5th, and let's grab a 5th, and let's put this back again here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's put this in. Oops, let's put it back down. It is the way it is. So basically, avoiding this like unstable note. The 4th is still unstable, but it is kind of a bit less weirdish, less melancholic, unstable note. So it gives kind of a still driving feeling to the track. And simply because these notes are closer to each other, they are sounding a bit more coherent than 5th and 6th rather than 5th and 4th. What you can do at this point to make it richer, basically you can kind of take these notes all together, put it into loop again. Let's push this up. Then you can start playing with the like this. You put this up as well, maybe then put this up. and you start to play the same notes but differently. Again, at this point, it's completely up to you how you want to utilize these notes. Like you can maybe go like this. The one thing that you will often see, actually, rather than utilizing it like this, you go for more like a polyrhythmic sound. So let's delete this. You see that I'm not completing the bar. So if I play this now, let's loop this. Let's push it back maybe here. Or let's do it this way. And you will see the effect a bit more clearly when I do. Let's do it this way, maybe repeat it that. So let's play. I feel like you see that like it gives kind of real vibe to the sound. Let's not disturb it too much. Let's keep this simple. Let's delete this and put it back here. At this part, we can start playing with the cutoff and filter and envelope a little bit and see if we can come up a bit cheesier sound. I feel like there's definitely room for the arpeggio. We can even make it even more complicated. What I'm going to do, I'm going to extend the length like this. It's still like not the full bar, it's like 1.5. But then we are going to move the things a little bit more. And then of course the same idea, loop this up. And then you can even maybe, that's too much, it's too cheesy. Then you can definitely utilize the keyboard, so you open up a little bit filter. When you put this, like for example, like this. I feel like I still want to have this kind of a build up, so I may go for I think this is quite nice, but we are going to make it a bit more interesting, of course. Let's give some emphasis. I feel like this definitely needs kind of a delay. So let's push a delay there. Or we can maybe utilize echo so that it gives more like a tape delay sound, which is used a lot as well. At this part, you are free to actually use some echo because we are more interested in the high end of this sound because we already have a bass. And I feel like I want to make it a bit tighter. Like this, right? I feel like just other 24 dB filter makes it a bit slightly tighter. Again, the idea of you keeping it sidechain is kind of good to give this kind of nice vibe. What you can do, either you can put it onto the delay so that only delay is sidechain, or use it completely on the whole track. And let's use an EQ to boost some of the interesting frequencies so that make it a bit more easier to hear. Like here, right? Again, you don't want to open it too much, otherwise it gets like a bit too cheesy. Most of those tracks actually doesn't have this kind of too bright hi-hats, so you should keep the hi-hats a bit simpler, but a bit driving as well. So the first thing that I would consider adding for this type of track is a 16 hat to keep it like going like the kind of stuff, right? So it doesn't really matter which sound that you use for the 16 hats, really. You just should grab something short and make a bit movement, a bit sidechain, a bit like a spread on the stereo field, so that you get this kind of nice spread feeling. So what I'm going to do, pick something, really doesn't matter. To make it, I will just grab the first one I see, just to show you that it really doesn't matter. I'm going to push it here. That's it. Let's put the auto pan. Rate doesn't matter. Sidechain does though. And then of course you can consider kind of adding a groove if you are into that type of more groover sound, which I think you should for this type of sounds. And if you go anything like a percussion here, yeah, let's take the first one. Let's don't spend too much time. Let's take it, maybe timing a bit less, just a bit less, because I still want to feel this kick, and let's commit that. Here we go. And then they have always, not always, often, kind of a simple hi-hat, like simple clean hi-hat, off-hat, and then they have small, nice shaker on right behind. So what I'm going to do, go for like this guy over here and get a simple hi-hat sound, something like this. Again, it doesn't really that much matter. We can still make it richer if we don't feel like it's rich enough. Again, you don't want to have your high end so bright, you still want to keep this kind of darker modern sound going on, right? Let's push that, send it into reverb. Let's get that open here, shorter. Take the chorus off. Let's put that sidechain compressor to the reverb as well. Now we have to just layer this kind of really dark shaker on background. So shaker is supposed to be a bit like lower on the sound level. So let's find something kind of a darker. Yeah, here we go. Where was it? Yes. Here we go. So let's take this. Let's do it this way. And make it shorter. Just keep that simple. And you can blend it like in between. Not this one. Maybe here as well. You can even make it more interesting, just put it here, like, so that it's kind of also getting polyrhythmic, right? And then maybe we do this way. I still feel like we can tune this down a little bit. And then the thing to keep that simple, if you don't want to deal too much with your mixing, you can actually side chain this to your hi-hat, off-hat basically. So when off-hat hits, you super fast duck your shaker, but it's supposed to be super fast so that you bring the shaker up again right after. So super fast attack, super fast release. We can even take a look ahead. And let's bring that side chain here as well for the kick. Not that aggressive though. And one thing that is definitely nice is using a delay to give that natural ambient sound. So we are going to use that before the side chain. Let's simply take it. Let's push that into the delay, reverb. Having this kind of dark groove going on already. Other kind of a significant thing for this type of track is having this kind of ambient hits. Like you can use maybe claps, maybe hi-hats, maybe snares, doesn't really matter, percussions, but you definitely clearly hear this nice ambient hits all around. So I would definitely suggest utilizing like returns for that type of things, because any hit that's happening, you want to keep it in the same ambience. To keep things in the same ambience, you can just send everything in the same big reverb so that they sound like in the same ambience, right? So for this purpose, I'm going to call this big reverb. I'm just gonna put the reverb over here. Here we go. Make it big though. So we will push it like around here. Start with not cutting anything, not utilizing anything. So keep everything a bit bigger. Even turn off the chorus. And then we are going to go to, we can take this right and make it percussion. And then I'm going to pick some random samples. Again, just want to show you the idea rather than making the best track. So that taking stuff like randomly is much better. So let me take one percussion here, one hi-hat open here, and let me take one crash, as you see, and one snare as well, maybe. Snare. I don't even care how it sounds. Where is this snare clap? I am blind. I'm going blind. There you go. I want a snare, not clap. Give me a snare. Oh my god. Let's put it this way. Here we go. World's most EDM snare sound. It will do. Let's put some random hits over here now. Maybe here. Sign it there. The one thing is you still want to utilize a reverb over here for all the sounds, simply because you don't want this super dry sound. Here we go. We are gonna cut that off a little bit. Here we go. Have it like a slightly off. Yeah. And we can copy paste this. Let's make it kind of a weird as well. Let's put it in the 7th. Here we go. To make it a bit more techno-ish, you can definitely drive it a bit more distorted. Basically, you can even distort it after the reverb so that you can get these reverb frequencies distorted as well. And what you can do, again, sidechain to reverb so that the groove is there. Of course, not this aggressive. Like that. So basically we get most of the things done, but you need kind of a warm up the ambience a little bit. Like this at the moment it's kind of sounding a bit cold, a bit more digital than it should be. Of course, the easiest way to do it, laying up your pad sounds so that you get that warm sound going on. So what we are going to do, take a Diva. If you wonder why I use everything for the Diva, simply because this is kind of our Diva month. So I want to use Diva as much as possible, and then we will switch to another synthesizer. And in the meantime, I'm also creating the preset pack for the Diva. So this also helps me kind of, at least not starting from the scratch and starting from something that we actually covered during that month, so that you know why we built that song and how you can use it and so on and so on. Simple idea, basically. What we are going to do though, I'm going to go for this time Jupiter 60, grab this guy over here, and then we're gonna solo this. Something like this should be just fine. We just wanted to add the warmth. We don't want to put any melody right there, right? So what I'm going to do, just throw an A minor. If you don't know how to do it, like you take the 1 and the 3rd and you start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you take the 5th. Now you are wondering, but that doesn't sound warm at all. You're in different light. You should cut off those high frequencies. Add the chorus. Here we go. As simple as that, honestly. But you would like to definitely add some with effects so that it's smoother. It's not like bum in your face. Decrease this sustain a little bit, so it's like smoother. And you can definitely utilize some LFO here. So basically, depending on what you want to do, you can transpose it. Depending on what you do, you can play with the pulse width modulation. For this sound, although I feel like keeping simple is better, because this is sitting really on the background. It's not like in your face sound. So you don't want to overcomplicate things, to keep my attention or the listener's attention on the lead and the bass sound rather than on the pad sound. So that's the reason I would probably consider keeping it really simple. Maybe I add a delay. Look how warm it sounds already. Together, and you can definitely put a sidechain or throw a sidechain over there. So if you take the 16 Hz, put it over there. Actually, I think in my template it should be here. Yeah. You want to keep it quite simple. You don't need to make it too hard. If you feel like the sound is too focused, you can spread the 3rd up or down, depending on how bright or dark you want the sound. Darker. If you have this kind of super dark sound, you may consider adding another pad here. So what I'm going to basically copy the Diva there, but I'm going to make the timbre slightly different so that they don't crash each other. So this one, like I'm going to take like triple VCO, put a square wave, solo this one, volume this down. Maybe something like this. Maybe something like that. You can even maybe take the this one. But then it gets to be too bright probably. or maybe slightly giving this edge there. You can definitely utilize the second oscillator if depending on what you want to have. I really want this tiny bit there. Without that. Cold and dark. Warm and dark. Because of the effect that we have here, this is the reason that we have this initial big movement in the sound on the volume. What you can do, basically, grab that, push that up. Oops. So it's one single note. You can do the same thing over there. What I'm going to do now, you are wondering, okay, nice, cool, good. What is the, where is the thing? Where is that thing? And that thing often for this type of sounds actually kind of a lead pad sound, like in the string in the background just comes in. That's the reason that I created the second half. So what I'm going to do, keep the back melody now, or make a back melody now. Of course, keep that diva going on. Push that there. You can either go for really digital oscillator over here, and then let me put it here. Just like that. I have no idea what I played, but if we just grab that up, see if we can make something out of it. Here actually you can make it simple, because I again maybe shouldn't play some super unstable notes. If we make it more logically, then something like this. Maybe make it a bit more interesting like this. And then maybe like this. I know that it is sounding a bit brassy right now. We are going to fix that very soon. Let me just keep this simple. Let's take this off. Let's put it into the... I'm not sure actually which one I'm going to use. Maybe Jupe 6 we start with, and then take it away from there and see what we can do. I think my camera just died, but we keep going. We will give it some nice chords. Let's volume this down, sorry for you are seeing what we are going basically here. I feel like I want to try another reverb to make it a bit darker. adding a sidechain compressor right there should be helping a lot. We can grab the one that from the 16 had. And then I can definitely be seeing possibility of compressing or using sidechain one more time, but this time we are gonna sidechain to main lead sound, so we give more space to the main lead. Should be doing it quite fast. This is from the 4th. If you are having like, there's one more trick that actually I would prefer at this part. If you have, for example, pre-MB, kind of a more multiband compressor, you can actually use sidechain here from the main lead, and then just sidechain the part where the main lead occupies mostly. If you remember, we actually boosted the area in the main lead here and 1.1k, 1.2k, somewhere there. So you can basically sidechain that area so that it won't disturb your string sound too much. So if I put it here, for example, right, and expert mode and external here now, increase the range, faster back, faster release, look ahead. Yeah, it is a simple trick, but it's quite useful. But I think this is the end of this video. I think you grabbed the idea already from the beginning. So what we are doing, why we are doing, or at least I hope so. So basically building this kind of more modern techno sound here. That was the idea from the beginning. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. And I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.